Good evening. Well, tonight we have two teams in identical positions in Pool 4 and in reality probably out of the mix for knockout positions in this competition, though there may still be prospects of a berth in the Amlin Challenge Cup, of course. But this 80 minutes is more about getting the second half of their season into gear. Racing's only win in their last 5 was at this venue at the end of last year, dispatching Toulon 14-3. No mean feat until Grenoble turned Johnny Wilkinson and co at the Stade Félix Mayol last weekend. For Scarlets, it's been 0 from 6 since the visit to Galway on the 23rd of November. But those figures mask the fact that the last 3 games have been lost by 6 points or less. Will that spark, that missing piece of luck, be discovered in the western suburbs of Paris? Will this game provide the momentum Simon Easterby has been craving to get 2014 moving in the right direction? The Scarlets, well, let's have a look at the Racing lineup there. Once again, they rack up the changes. There's Nozazevsky, Loré, all Leroux in that pack. Cronier and Lydiot return to the back row. Mujati finally fit enough to make another start. Lions halfbacks, Phillips and Sexton. Special day for Mike Phillips, of course, making his home debut proper. He did start against Quins, but that was in Nantes. Against the team, of course, he supported and played for early in his career. Andreu and Imhoff, falls wingmen in that back 3. There's a lot of danger there for the Scarlets' defence this evening. As we wait for the teams to set out, it is going to be a real tough trip, you suspect, for the Scarlets. I'm Simon Ward, alongside me Pat Sanderson. Pat, how do you look at the equation of this game in the position it is in round 5?
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? And as you say, this is about these two teams really getting their seasons going. There's an awful lot of pride in both these teams, and of course it's silly season, I guess, in both in France and in Europe, and they and all these players have got, I guess, a personal reason to have a good look at, for everyone to have a good look at them. It's a big shot window. It's the Heineken Cup, and everyone's watching. And I think for that reason and that reason alone, we're going to see two pretty motivated teams today.
Psychologically, when you know that in reality you're probably not going to be in position to push for one of those quarter-final places, how does a team actually concentrate and focus on the target? Does it make it easier in that you've effectively got nothing to lose?
Well, I think, look, you can play perhaps a freer brand of rugby. There's not as much pressure on. But, that being said, it's the Heineken Cup. And for these guys, for the Scarlets, they're away in France, in Paris, and there's nowhere tougher to go in world rugby, than going out to France and expecting to get a result, which they really, really need right now, just for momentum, and for the squad as a whole.
Well, Rob McCusker leading the Scarlets out there. McCusker joined the Scarlets Academy at the same time as Mike Phillips was promoted from the Academy to the first 15. There's the lineup that he's leading tonight. 4 changes in there. Gareth Davis starts the back line instead of Rodri Williams at 9. Aled Thomas steps in for Gareth Owen at the other end. Up front, Johan Sneeman and Aaron Shingler are recruited to add some oomph to the pack. Samson Lee, another test of his burgeoning credentials this evening. It's a team that has experience. There's a lot of youngsters in there, and this is the sort of the stage for those youngsters to really show what they're about.
Yeah, it's a huge opportunity for them. I think the big strength today lies in 9 and 10. Priestland with everything to prove, I guess, on a personal level as well. His future very uncertain. But first and foremost, the big task is to deal with the sheer physical threat that this Racing side are going to present tonight.
Well, you can see just the angst and the pressure that really is on that home side as Antoine Batout leads his team out. It has not been a good start to a new season for a new team for Les Ciels et Blancs, and really they, in front of their home fans, have to produce this evening.
I think you're quite right. It's about pressure building up on this squad. Look, they've gone out, they've brought these stars in, and they can't make them function as a team. And when we watched them in the last round against Quins, they looked disjointed, they looked uninterested, and you can just clearly, from what Sexton was saying, there's some real internal problems there. Just how far have they come from then to now is the big question today.
Well, I suspect the question is not so much whether the team are singing from the same song sheet as to what language the song sheet's written in. There's the referee this evening, Luke Pearce, heading up an English quartet.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. Okay.
A young referee with a very impressive track record thus far.
Time on, please,
A
Daniel.
Welsh derby field today in certain positions. The question, I guess, is can Racing's Lions roar for the home side, or will the Scarlets finally find the fire and force of the Welsh Dragons to put a positive spin into their season? Both teams, of course, remember, started their European campaigns with impressive wins. The Scarlets, of course, over the Quins at Twickenham Stoke. Racing seeing off Heineken Cup finalist Claremont. Psychologically, they'll both be looking to finish strongly. More so, I suspect, for the Scarlets when they think ahead to round 6, and of course the visit of Harlequins to Parky Scarlets. For Racing, well, they go to the fortress known as the Stade Marcel Michelin, where 70 teams before have gone and come away without victory.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's still there, isn't it, for Scarlets? If they get the right results, you just never know. But very over-eager there from Racing, taking the jumper out in the air, and the referee awarding Scarlets just it's a nice opportunity, isn't it, in the opening seconds, just to settle the nerves, get some points on the board, and that'll have a nice positive impact on the Scarlets team.
There's the second row combo for Racing Metro, Karim Ghazal and Fabrice Metz. Jean-André Crier on the bench for the home side this evening. There is that take from McCusker, safe and secure.
And you can see there the Racing man on the floor, pulling down the lifter it was rather than the jumper, but just denying Scarlets the opportunity just to set and drive illegally. Referee quite right.
Priestland just flirting with that far upright, not able to bring it round though. Benjamin Fall wearing 15 this evening, dotting the ball down.
You know, as difficult as it is to travel to France, you'd have to say that I believe that team
the
spirit...
charge down from Johnny Sexton, great work from Emir Phillips. Now, can the Scarlets make something happen here? Unexpected as it may have been, pressure coming on the Irish fly half, and an opportunity to attack for Gareth Davis, keeping it moving to that left hand side, trying to really rattle the home defence in these early stages. You can just see the opportunity here for the visitors to really unsettle that blue and white line. Julien Brugnot, former Munster man, of course, doing the typical front row union, hands in the air, and a second penalty is going to come from it.
Yeah, awful discipline really. 2 or 3 opportunities there where the referee could have awarded a penalty to the Scarlets, but it's a basic error, isn't it, that? From the restart, which gave the opportunity to Scarlets. And I was just about to say, actually, I believe that team spirit, collectiveness, is heavily going to outweigh the individual talent of this Racing side. And I think this could be a great win for Scarlets tonight if they can travel, to a difficult place against a good side, full of great players, and get a win. It does wonders to start the year off. And you can see there, I mean, it's basic stuff, an element of offside maybe.
Toenails, perhaps. Well, it's the old adage, Pat, isn't it? You can buy a team of good players, but you can't buy a good team. And that's what we're going to see, the contrast in that tonight, because Simon Easterby has moulded the Scarlets into a good team. Admittedly, they haven't had the results they wanted, but you can see where the talent is and where they work for each other. For Racing, maybe not quite so obvious. Rhys Priestland with his second opportunity in these first 5 minutes. A far simpler opportunity for the Wales fly half, and an opportunity he has taken.
No, you're quite right. One thing you cannot level the Scarlets is that they don't play as a team. They're a collective unit. They work for each other. And for what is a pretty underpowered pack relative to this wrestling side, they're going to stand up, stand toe-to-toe and fight. And that's the key to them tonight. If they can stand up, really knock them back physically on the gain line and control that gain line, then I think they're a team that are just used to playing with scrappy ball. And that'll be enough for them, I think, tonight.
It'll certainly be interesting to see tactically how they look to play their game, Scarlets. We saw last week in Swansea that scrum really came back strongly in the second half to allow the backs to play. And certainly if the game breaks up, the Scarlets will love trying to expose the chinks in this Racing Metro defence. Sexton hangs one high. Good take from Aled Thomas. His first start at 15 this evening. He's had 4 starts for the Scarlets in the fly half berth, replacing that man Priestland. The kick from Fraser Climo almost being charged down. Warning bells ringing already. Karim Ghazal, the big second rower, takes his team up to the 22. Phillips and Sexton in tandem, of course, in Australia through the summer. Sexton throws it out wide. That's Imhoff. Imhoff has a man outside him. It's his Argentinian colleague. Did he step into touch? Everybody froze. I think Martin Fox on that far side, waiting for him to tiptoe down the line. Juan Martin Hernandez wearing the 12 shirt and showing the awareness that can really be a threat to the Scarlets tonight.
Yeah, Phillips running the show there at the line, feeding Sexton, and then great distribution from Sexton. And this is the big threat that this Racing side possess, isn't it? If you allow them to get quick ball and you give that half-back partnership time and space, they'll rip you apart. It's one of the reasons I think that perhaps John Barclay at 7 could have a really big impact if he can slow that ball down and not allow Scarlet's quick ball. Sorry, Racing quick ball, that is.
Aaron Shingler just clearing up the mess from that line out.
No, he's fine. Thanks, Paul.
And the clearance kick allowing the Scarlets to draw breath.
Foxy?
Imhoff being allowed to carry on is Benjamin Fowle, playing in the 15 shirt this evening, and a real threat if he gets loose ball. Advantage coming from referee Luke Pearce again. Sexton looking to get his backline moving earlier on, and it's not been a feature of Racing's game this season. They have one of the most impotent attacks in the top 14 in 16 rounds. They've only scored 14 tries.
Yeah, which kind of begs belief when you look at the talent in that side and the back three. They're all capable of turning a game, and I think it's only a matter of time before they click, these guys.
I suppose you have to put up the comparison from the Scarlets, who themselves have only run in 16 tries, but of course only 12 rounds gone in the Pro 12. Now the call has gone for the attacking line-out, and again we've seen a predominance of kicking from Racing Metro this season, presumably under the instruction of the two Laurents Labitte and Travers, who are now of course in charge of the Paris side. Now, how is that going to impact on their mindset this evening? It's certainly seen a little different so far. Phillips looking to get Cronier, and Sexton looking for that inside pop. Imhoff, such a threat, the Argentinian winger. Came in as a medical joker for Benjamin Fowle. There's Jacques Cronier, back after quite an absence. Sexton trying to step his way through. Not able to stretch out though. The try though is scored from Racing. The pressure counts. The handbags, well, beginning to be thrown early doors. But Racing will be celebrating a 5-pointer.
Well, if there's any doubt what it means to these two teams, then you can see just how intense it is. Big physical confrontation. And it was the physicality ultimately of Racing that got them over the line there. And things still boiling over here. It was a lovely little move off that line out, wasn't it, from Cronier? As the extra man, he was stood at half back. They used him on the peel.
At the moment, I haven't seen anything happen. I want to to speak to both fours.
Luke Pearce just having a chat with Robin Goodliff. Looked like it was, well, the second rows.
It was blue 5 and red.
Jan Sneeman and Karim Ghazal. Ghazal has got a fairly short temper, it has to be said. Already received a red card this season for a contretemps with Martin Castro Giovanni down in Toulon in round 2.
Listen, when a try is scored and the whistle's gone, let's just let it go. Hang on. Let's not grab players, and I'll speak to the same to them, okay?
Well, the big men just feeling aggrieved at what went on there, and it was difficult to see.
Yeah, there you are.
But they'll look at the scoreboard, and there's 5 points on the board for Racing Metro, whatever.
And it was a bright start for the Scarlets as well. They looked intense at breakdown. You looked like they were going to get on the front foot, but it was well worked.
Virgil
From Racing,
Lacombe,
wasn't
I
it?
think, on the bottom there. I'm just looking to see as he came up. Was it Phillips? Well, that's what set it off.
After the whistle's gone and tries to be scored, nothing, okay?
Johnny Sexton. Been in such fine kicking form for his new team. They certainly have relied on him. First slot at goal is a successful one, and 7 points on the board for the home side.
Yeah, they'll be pleased with that, won't they? Both Phillips and Sexton at the moment really do look good, but lovely little move here. 8 at half-back, just created the extra man. Sexton at the line and a beautifully timed inside ball, to the 14 at pace. And after that, well, Scarlets, they just looked under pressure, didn't they? And the big physical ball carriers of Racing was just too much for them.
And it was Mike Phillips that went over there. You saw him just dart over, and what a special moment that will be for the Racing scrum half. Made his Heineken Cup debut as a replacement for the Scarlets against Borders on the 24th of January 2004.
Hands are on.
Almost 10 years of European experience in Mike Phillips' body. And to be able to score his first try for his new team against one of his old teams, I'm sure will be a notable entrance in his diary. Sexton, and you just saw Phillips and Sexton aware of the opportunities. Scarlets are going to have to tighten up that fringe defence. Nowhere to go for Aled Thomas. Great game management from Sexton, such awareness. And the visitors having to just secure and catch a breath almost, because Racing suddenly got the wind in their sails and hemmed the Scarlets back into their 22. Phillips feeds Benjamin Fowl. He's already announced this will be his last season in Racing's colours. Heading for Montpellier. Fabien Galtier on a 2-year contract, like his captain Antoine Batout, making a similar journey. There is Batout wearing 6 this evening. Sexton being forced into the kick. Looked like the winger was standing up offside Marc-Andreu, but
Keep coming, Reds, fight, keep walking
Bruce
through.
Priestland sends it back from whence it came. Sexton scanning, seeing what's on offer. Imhoff again, ever a willing runner, Imhoff. The Argentinian showing good strength, getting a little extra help from Fabrice Metz. And once again, Racing Metro looking to strike. Good handling from Lacombe. And this is a different Racing Metro side than we've seen all season. It's been a pretty dormant attack, as I mentioned. Not yet to actually record a try-scoring bonus point in the top 14. There's only Biarritz and I think Oyonnax that are in a similar position. And of course we know how low down the table those two are. Chavancy fighting to get the ball back on the floor.
Use it!
Virgil Lacombe getting a start this evening. Just his 6th start, but the only ever present in Racing's matchday squads this season. Has he got the ball down? I think Jeff Warren is going to be called into action for the first time.
Yeah, great work, wasn't it, by the Racing forwards at the end there to get him over the line, but I think awful lot of bodies. It's going to be very difficult to tell whether he grounded this ball or not. But right now, look, it's the 9 and 10 show, isn't it, for Racing?
Yeah, please.
Well, there goes the former Toulouse hooker. The drive was on. He fell. Did he fall the right way? Scarlet's body's desperate to A, get underneath the ball, and B, hide the camera angle.
You can normally tell, can't you?
Looked to me like Johnny Barclay got in a very good position there. There he is wearing 7, the Scottish international.
Yeah, there's 3 of them tied it up. It's hard to see how he's going to be able to get that. And you can tell by the way he's just working to try and get the ball down. And there's absolutely no conclusive evidence right now from the pictures that we're seeing that ball touched the grass. Almost impossible to give this one, I think.
You'll appreciate the defensive work of a good open side, Mr. Sanderson.
Yeah, there's 3 of them there, isn't it? It's not just Barkley, is it? But he's crucial for them tonight because he really is an on-the-ground number 7 that can have a huge impact on this game.
Yes, he's a real,
Yeah.
I say it in the right way, dog of a 7. And
Thank you.
I have to say that Racing don't have a similar kind in their lineup tonight, with Wenceslas Lorre and Bernard Leroux not in the matchday squad, and that try from Virgil Lecomte, as we expected, not being given due to the limpid actions of Barkley. But the Scarlets still under pressure. 5-metre scrum with a home put in, and we're going to see the mettle of this Scarlets pack.
18, please.
This is a huge test, isn't it? You know, Bruno Majati, 2 world-class scrimmaging props. Huge test of this Scarlets front row.
Well, you can see the power being turned on. Jacques Cronje holding the ball at the base. Majati, as you mentioned, Pat, in this starting lineup, making his first start though since the 21st of September against Bordeaux Bègles. He's had a calf problem that he's tried to get rid of. He's come off the bench a couple of times, but it really hasn't been a happy start for the former Northampton tight head.
No, and you can see there, it was actually the Racing hooker Lecomte that popped up first, but I think only because Samson Lee changed his angle and was under so much pressure, just trying to get away from the pressure of Bruno there, that he bored into him and popped him up. So I would say Scarlett's probably a little bit lucky not to concede a penalty there, but we're going to see more of the same here, aren't we? You know, Racing sole goal here really is to paint the picture in the referee's mind that they're dominant at scrum time.
Ronan O'Gara looking on with interest. Interesting, of course, to see the new command from the referee and non-verbal communication to put the ball in. Let's have a look. There we go. Again, you just see the Scarlets desperately trying to hold the power surge. The penalty given to the home side, and not good early signs for that Scarlets 8.
I mean, worse than that. I mean, they're under so much pressure here, aren't they? But you can see the angle there. The Scarlets tight head is under huge pressure. And to be honest, I know it's the first penalty, but you know, Scarlets weren't going to stop that going back over their own try line. There's an argument, even so early on in this sequence of scrums, for a penalty try.
Well, even if they don't get that call this early on, it's really put an impression in the mind of Luke Pearce as to the way this is going. Though, as I mentioned last week, the Ospreys scrum probably had the better of the first half, and the Scarlets did come back with some force. Samson Lee, just 21 years old, the tight head being examined early on by Julien Brugnot and the rest of that Racing front row. Again, the screw happens on the scrum.
Yeah, worse still, not just a penalty try, but potentially a yellow card as well. You know, this could be really quite damaging for Scarlets' hopes here. How much longer can they hold this out?
Laurent Labite happy with his pack thus far, albeit he of course is the backs coach. His partner in crime, Laurent Travers, the former hooker for Brive when they won the Heineken Cup back in '97. Had to suffer 80 minutes playing opposite Richard Cockerell, but came through it to lift the trophy. There's another 63 minutes of this for the Scarlets pack. Can they make the adjustment? Can they hold out against this powerful Racing Metro surge? Well, there you go. There's a response. Great work from the Scarlets 8. High tackle on Gareth Davis is going to allow them the potential penalty if they need it. Priestland just dabbing it through, trying to set up an opportunity for a counter-attack, but knowing that Luke Pearce was going to go back. There's the response that you need. That's what Simon Easterby will be going, yes, up in the stands.
Yeah, I mean, the effect that has on a pack of forwards, you can't measure. As Phil John it was, look, he gets underneath Majati, takes him to the cleaners, and well, you're just going to say that is a brilliant piece of scrummaging from him under so much pressure for 5 minutes, and then to turn it around like that. Huge momentum swing in this game.
Laurent Travers, we saw just up in the stand there. He must have thought that 5 points was coming some way or the other from those sequence of scrums, but the work Danny Wilson's been doing, paying dividends there, and good resilience, good concentration from that Scarlets 8, good response. There's the Scarlets coaching committee.
Yeah, Majati was there, just got a little bit high. Phil John got a great position on him, and as it is, Scarlet's back on the halfway line. They can breathe again, can't they?
Coming to the end of this first quarter. Good handling, pressure handling from the Scarlets backline. Fraser Climo testing out Benjamin Fall. Oh, just unable to pick up that loose ball. What opportunity might have occurred there? Is anybody going to be able to get their hands on it? Well, Scarlets have, and now attacking in the 22. You remember the last time they were here, it was down to a racing mistake from Johnny Sexton. Now it's Benjamin Fall that has offered them this chance to get their backline moving. Barkley just getting out of the line, but still holding on to the ball. The forwards eager to get themselves going. There's Johan Sneeman. Big South African second row sets it back. Priestland looking for some more added oomph, and it's Jake Ball who offers. They keep going left. Quick hands. Nowhere through for Climo nor for Aled Thomas. Well, the penalty going to Racing Metro in the end, but we've already seen the resilience of Scarlets, both up front and suddenly mounting an attack from their own 22. And, well, if that's an indicator for the way the rest of this 60 minutes is going to go, I suspect we're going to have an entertaining match on our hands.
Yeah, it's end to end, isn't it? And it's fairly breathless as well. But they're used to playing with scrappy ball and bits, and they do it probably better than any other Welsh side, in all fairness. Another opportunity here on the counter-attack.
Priestland rescuing it from the touchline. Oh, handling, just letting Nick Reynolds down on that occasion. Reynolds, of course, played on the wing in the first encounter between these two in round 2. And indeed, his efforts made that very memorable try for Scott Williams at Parky Scarlets.
There's some good carrying as well from the Scarlets forwards, and that's what they need. They need to impose their physicality moving forward, Schneeman in particular.
That's good. Stay down, lads, okay? Keep your hips in, that's better.
In the first 2 rounds of this competition, I think you had to be called Williams to score a try for the Scarlets. All 5 tries, 3 at the Twickenham Stoop, and the 2 following at Parky Scarlets had Williams on them. I think Liam and Tom were probably a little disappointed, though Tom more than any of them, because he was wearing Harlequins colours in that first game. Cronje feeds Phillips, and again the half-backs looking to get width on the ball. It's a different mindset from this Racing backline this evening, no question about that. It's a matter now whether Scarlets can adapt defensively and cope with the threat and the thrust that will be coming. Sexton again looking at that inside ball. We've seen it open up the Scarlets defence twice already this evening. The red line setting up its stall on their 10-metre line.
Yeah, and Scarlett's there on the wrong side of the tackler, something they do an awful lot of. You see them, it's obviously a deliberate ploy of theirs.
Until the tackler rolls away. Number 5.
The referee saying there, tackler not rolling away, and they do this a lot. They get up on the opposition side of the ball, just being in the way, slowing the ball down. The referee doing well actually to pick up on it early doors.
Again, Sexton not going from the tee, but opting to set up the attacking line-out. There was the incident. It was Jan Sneyman, the former Eastern Province second row, who had the finger of fate pointed at him. Now his line-out defensive work is going to be put to the test as this Racing Metro set piece looks to set up another attacking opportunity. Virgil Lacombe finds Karim Ghazal. Good counter drive from the Scarlets and good defensive work from the visitors. Again, it just fizzes and effervesces and coming to the boil early on.
Time off, Daniel.
Yeah, but it was fantastic, wasn't it, from the Scarlets?
Walk away.
Didn't give Racing any time to settle on that drive, broke it apart and committed to it. And you can see there's no love lost between these two teams tonight.
Nobody wants to take a backward step in this one. Certainly if you've got single digits on your back.
No. Take your players away, please.
Luke Pearce is going to have a
Time is off, Fox. I'm going to come to you first.
fairly stern chat. He's going to have a chat with Martin Fox to see whether anything was spotted.
Dismet. Scarlets, away.
Joe, what was interesting actually, you saw Majati had his hand in the face of one of the Scarlets players. I couldn't see who it was, but whoever it was took real exception to it.
Let me tell you what I got first. It's gone into touch, and Racing Metro number 3 has dived on the lad on the floor after the whistle's gone. Have you got anything after that?
Well, basically the cause of it was Blues not releasing the ball so Reds can take a quick line out. But I didn't get which number it was, and then we've got players.
And we've got scuffles. Last chance warning. I'm going to penalise, start on a penalty for number 3.
Well, you may have heard that. Luke
3,
Pearce
captain,
is going to penalise Majati, as Pat correctly pointed out. But discipline around the breakdown is going to be key, and Racing Metro's discipline this season has been the best in the top 14.
When it goes into touch,
but it certainly is bubbling early on tonight.
You can't dive on the player on the floor. When the whistle goes, there's nothing else. Captains, it's now your responsibility. Any more scuffles?
Last chance warning. Next will be a yellow card, and as we've seen in the Aviva Premiership this season, Luke Pearce is not afraid to issue yellow cards.
Time is still off, Daniel.
Yeah, that is how you defend a driving line out. Did it brilliantly, and you can see Majati comes in, he dives on the player, then it's a hand in the face, and it's the hand in the face, I think, which the Scarlets boys take great exception to.
Tackle after the whistle.
Still, it's a good opportunity for Scarlets to get out of this 22. Well deserved from a great defensive effort from the forwards, and this is what we talked about, wasn't it? Look, they might not be the biggest, most physical pack out there, but they're going to fight. They're going to stand toe-to-toe, and whatever Racing decide to throw at them, well, the Scarlets boys are going to take it and they're going to give it back, and I love that.
That's what the game's about. "23 minutes on the clock and just 4 points between the teams, despite the territorial advantage that Racing Metro have had, and a lot of it inside the opposition 22. Scarlets doing their job well, holding on to their concentration more than anything, and the resilience has come from that.
Yeah, I mean, look, this has got the feel of a real old-school European game, hasn't it? You know, a French side, let's be honest, they're not, you know, they're on the uppers at the moment. They're not performing like they want to perform. They're scrapping for it, and the Scarlets saying, look, we're coming here to win, and we're going to stand toe-to-toe with you, and it's got a great feel about it.
Well, the kick just being over-egged slightly there, which is going to allow Racing to get themselves back. But it is two contrasting clubs when you look at it from that point of view, Pat, isn't it? With the money that Racing Metro have spent to buy in new players, buy in a new team, new coaches coming on board as well, expecting things to get off to a far better start than they've had this season. And then you look at the Scarlets having to develop through their academy and doing it so successfully over the last 2 or 3 seasons and more.
Yeah, and I guess the purist in you wants Scarlets to be successful because of the way they're doing it. But I think tonight we might witness, some of these racing boys actually settling down into this format, particularly Phillips and Sexton. Look like they can really settle down and perform like we know they can. Well, then that's going to change Racing's fortunes. It is. They're such good players.
Benjamin Fowle coming up into the attacking line, but Scarlets closing the door on him fairly quickly, forcing Racing to go back to their forwards to set a different platform.
Advantage, 6 offside.
That time it was Aaron Shingler just stepping through too quickly.
6 offside.
Yeah, a real shame. They had a couple of bites at it. The referee wants to keep it clean, and I think Shingler
Wait for your man.
just set up a little bit too early. Obviously thought Phillips had his hands on the ball,
6
but
offside.
it's just not worth it, is it? It really isn't, and it just heaps pressure on you again. And right now, they've been under pressure for a good while, and eventually something will give, and it might not be now, it might be in the last 10 or 15 minutes of the game, but it takes it out of you.
It's going to take a little more out of the Scarlets. Line out now, as once again Sexton offers them the opportunity to show what they can do. There's Virgil Lacombe being dumped to the ground. It's Shingler on the right of the picture that just steps through there.
In fairness, there's an argument really for a Scarlets penalty there. I think it was Samson Lee who got over the ball really well, tried to lift the ball off the Racing guy on the floor, and I'd feel quite aggrieved if I was the Scarlets. Poor decision by the referee. I think he missed a genuine attempt at the ball there on the floor.
Again, quick line out ball for Racing Metro allows Jacques Cronje, been 6 weeks out, the big South African number 8, his first game back this evening. Sexton losing the ball in contact. Now, is something going to happen here for the Scarlets? They want that ball to stay in right now. Benjamin Fowle, pressure on his kick, and a chance for the Scarlets to draw breath and think, what can we work from this position as we get towards the half-hour mark?
Look, it's a huge opportunity, isn't it? First real attacking opportunity for some time for the Scarlets. It was a great kick, fantastic chase from them, but what a tackle that is from the side.
3.
Brilliant, I think.
I think that was Emir Phillips.
I think it was
the
as
hooker
well.
coming across to hit Sexton.
Full pace from the breakdown, and this is a real opportunity. Score here, they're in the lead against the run of play.
Priestland again feeding Scott Williams, again getting that ball out in the wide channel. Clément, has he got the strength to hold off 2 defenders? Well, he's been bundled into touch, and it's going to be a Racing line out, and they go quickly, but Racing fans were just holding their breath there, because it looked for all money like Juan Imhoff had made a try-scoring pass.
No, let's get some space.
I weren't the only one holding his breath. That was a real shock. I thought he'd clean past it to the Scarlets player. But again, great line out. Priestland right out the line. They're just lacking a little bit of accuracy in their passing to get the ball out wide. But a good effort there.
Good work from Aled Thomas as well, pulling in 3 defenders before he released his winger. 2 number 8s colliding, forcing Mike Phillips to clear with the box kick. Good clearance kick from Phillips. 65 times he put Scarlet's colours on. Made his debut at the age of 19, of course now 31, and has worn the colours of various different teams, the last being Bayonne, left somewhat abruptly at the beginning of December.
Well, he's been flawless tonight, hasn't he? As you say, that was a fantastic clearance kick, real distance on it from a difficult position. But he's pulling all the strings, and looks to be back to his best, which is, well, good for Racing, but good for Wales as well. The Six Nations looming.
Oh, that training ground move not working for the Scarlets there, as Phillips and Davis didn't get their act to go. I'm not sure where Schindler's going, but he's going to be brought back. There's Emir Phillips. Well, he seemed to have pushed it the requisite 5 metres, but Davis unable to hang on to it.
Your side, Foxy. 1.
Convinced that Davis knew the call there. He didn't seem to react too quickly, did he? But it's allowed a scrum put in for Racing.
Brunio it was, I think, at the front of the lineup there for Racing, who was very alert to it anyway.
Let's see how the two scrums are going to match up this time. That's a good scrum from Scarlets, even though Juan Imhoff is now bursting his way down the right flank.
Never held.
Good strength from the Puma, and the support is there. Again, the Racing Metro forwards happy to tenderise the fringe defenders for Scarlets before releasing their backs. Chevancy, homegrown product, probably the only one in this Racing Metro side. What players he's seen come and go in his time. Oh, Sexton throws it wide, and that's a loose ball that Scarlett's going to try and make something of. The left-hand pass of Johnny Sexton, not as accurate as he would have liked there. And Scarlett's looking for advance. Again, a very good kick, forcing the clearance kick from a relatively narrow angle. Benjamin Fowle's strongest suit may not be his kicking indeed. And it's advantage Scarlets. Can they make something of it this time?
Well, we'll see. They've got a good stable platform at line-out time, and as you say, well, Benjamin Fowle shanked it twice, a little bit like my golf. He'll be disappointed with that, but it's a good opportunity for Scarlets again, and they're winning the ball pretty much where they like in the line at the moment, and it's a great platform to attack from. They just need to tidy up those passes, make sure they're in front of the wider players. Here we go.
Davis and Priestland again waiting for the runners, slightly delayed pass, but sets up for the next phase. Priestland again throwing it wide. This time Reynolds tries to just put on a little bit of pace to take him through the line. Samson Lee, no thought of a sidestep from the tight head. Priestland has plenty of options. There's the veteran Phil John. Schindler has a similar sort of athleticism that Tom Croft has as a breakaway. If you can put him into space, who knows what's possible. Oh, execution letting the Scarlets down. I think McCusker went down to try and rescue it, but it was too late.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really put your finger on anything in particular, but it's the small things, isn't it? The passes aren't quite crisp enough. They're not quite in front of the players. They're having to check for them at breakdown time. They're not quite clearing guys out and presenting the ball cleanly. And the margins are so fine when you're playing against a reasonably organised defence like Racing's. And a little snipe there. He won't be trying that again in a hurry, will he? That was a great contact there. But you can just see they've just not quite got it right when they've got the ball at the moment, the Scarlets. And if they tidy it up, then I think they'll put Racing defence under pressure.
And I know we're still in the first half, but we're into the final 10 minutes of that first half that has been stressful, physical, everything probably that we expected. But fatigue is starting to just kick in now, and it's being able to execute when that fatigue is impacting on your body that is the key to winning matches.
Yeah, absolutely right. And the very best players in the world are capable of executing when they're tired. And you're right, the last 10 minutes of each half are the hardest times to get your patterns right, and you can see it. And look, both these sides have worked really hard in this opening half. It really means a lot to them. You can see what it means.
A lot of these Racing players in particular getting their first starts for a while. You saw Julien Brugnon, his first game since the Scarlets game in round 2.
Everyone okay?
As Laurent Travers has mixed his pack up. So, we don't have the likes of Kinchkashvili, the Georgian prop, Laurent Leroux. I've mentioned Matadigo, the Fijian number 8. Zazewski's having the night off. Van der Merwe, the South African second row, also not being deployed this evening.
I think as things stand, if the half-time whistle were to blow, given the way this half's gone, you'd say the Scarlets will probably be the happier of the two teams in a way. Just to, I guess, to still be in touch, having, rather been on the wrong end of this first half at the moment. But they're in the right half of the pitch, the big opportunity here.
Okay.
You always get the feeling with Simon Easterby's side that they enjoy playing off the cuff. They enjoy having to improvise. When the game starts to break open, break loose, that's when they're at the most potent. And these last 10 minutes of each half, if they're in touch, that's when they're most dangerous, you suspect.
Yeah, particularly with the way that Racing are playing as well. Sexton wants to play tonight. You can see he's attacking the line every single time that he can. And I think that, to some extent, if they don't execute well, Racing, then that will fall into the hands of the Scarlets. And another great scrum from the Scarlets there. They've got their act together there.
Sexton this time opting for that diagonal kick, trying to feed him off, but in fact it's Benjamin Fal who steps up, and here come Racing Metro. Chavancy kicking. Why did he kick? We've seen this through the season, not just with Chavancy, with Sexton, with a number of the Racing Metro backs that they kick in attack so frequently, and there was surely an opportunity to keep the ball in hand.
Okay.
Absolutely. Cracking kick from Sexton to start off with. Now, interesting the way that Scarlets defend. They like to defend with their wingers up and close the outside passing channels off, but it does leave space in behind. Someone like Sexton, tactically such a good kicker, so aware, and you can see the wingers right up. Finds the space beautifully, but you're right, once you get in behind, keep hold of the ball, just recycle it. You've got all the momentum. Scarlets defenders are running back, the Racing attackers are running onto the ball, and they're under real pressure. No need to kick the ball away, and it's a sign of a side, I guess, who just aren't comfortable with themselves at the moment.
It's not instinctive, and I think you can see that there, and that's why I say Racing Metro are a different looking attacking side this evening, and it's not the instinct there that they've been able to develop through the first half of this season.
No, you're right, but at some point they've got to try and make this transition, haven't they? I'm liking a lot of what I'm seeing,
and that's
Racing
what we're seeing tonight, Pat. I think is that transition.
Well, you kind of hope so, don't you? Because I think it's good for rugby if you see a Racing side full of wonderful players playing at the best of their ability.
Again, the front of line-out ball. This time it does work for the Scarlets, and Priestland puts one high into the Colombes sky, and Imhoff can't get there quickly enough. Is the ball going to bounce for the Scarlets? The hack through from Klimo, just not in time. Well, the Scarlets just will feel they're not quite getting the breaks from those loose balls, but indecision in that back three, again offering opportunity to them.
It was a shocking misread, wasn't it, by him off there. He was nowhere near it. But line out to the Scarlets. You'd expect them to win this.
How many?
You have to remember, I suppose, that Racing Metro are still relative rookies in this competition. And Imhoff, their top try scorer with 7, is an indicator probably of that. Scott Williams scored in both of the opening rounds of this competition. Heavy duty work being taken up by Emir Phillips. Forwards coming around the corner, eager for more. Jake Ball, probably the 22. Gareth Davis getting the nod tonight over Rodri Williams, but Simon Easterby going to pains to say how much he thought of both of his scrum halves. Have to look at the contest with Mike Phillips for Davis, and he has to concede 6 inches and nigh on 3 stone to the Racing scrum half, but these are the sort of areas he loves. Priestland dabbing it through. The advantage is there for the Scarlets, though.
I'll just take the points, 7-6. Start again at half time. Great passage of play that from the Scarlets. Great carries, good continuity. That man Davis did well there just to keep things going. Little snipes, playing off 9, nice and direct, and it's given them the opportunity to get within 1 point.
And you look at it, we've had half an hour now of Racing Metro really trying to turn the screw. A lot of pressure on the Scarlets, the odd breakout, but the scoreline hasn't changed. And if they could get 3 points off the tee now, then psychologically that is going to be a huge spur for the visitors and a real dent in the confidence of the home side.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we also know that they're not entirely comfortable with each other, are they, Racing? I don't think they particularly like each other. There's all sorts of public comments flying around. And the minute the pressure starts to heap on them, there's a very good chance they can implode. And, when that happens, well, the game is the Scarlets. And that's what we're talking about at the beginning. It's about team spirit. It's about staying together. It's about playing as a team. And, there's only one team going to win that battle. Real opportunity now to bring it within 1 point.
Priestland knows it's there before it's got anywhere near the post. So 6 points on the board for the Scarlets. Rhys Priestland takes his Heineken Cup tally past the half century this season. And just a solitary point now between the two sides. And the importance of these next couple of minutes to make sure Scarlets don't concede is huge in the overall big picture, I would suggest, of this game.
Yeah, but look, I mean, they'll have practiced their exit patterns over and over again, although you'd wonder by this. But, you're right, you get out your 22 now, reset, maintain the momentum on your side.
Cannot let the ball go cheaply now for the next 45 seconds or so as Phillips tries to keep things moving. It's fascinating, the psychological swings that go on within a match, particularly at the end of the first half, when they've then got 10-15 minutes to contemplate what's just happened.
Yeah, and Phillips here just catching the ball out. Now he takes a quick one. Now, is it in play or isn't it?
Didn't go five, doesn't
matter.
matter.
No, it certainly didn't. No, you're absolutely right. Look, momentum, psychology in rugby is important. It's probably the most important factor, and you're absolutely right. And so much can revolve around what happens at half time. And that's interesting from the Scarlets.
It's something that we've seen in the top 14 in recent seasons, where you don't have an offside line because there isn't a maul. There's no opposition defenders in it.
That's it. Scarlets hung off, didn't create the maul. One man goes round to try and spoil the party, but it's risky, especially that far out from your line.
Chavancy breaching the red line. Danger here for the Scarlets before half-time. Antoine Batout organising his troops for a last surge towards another 5-pointer. Phillips, try scorer of the first one, feeds out to Sexton. Juan Martin Hernandez, haven't seen much of him recently. 32-year-old Puma, well, has got the penalty. Imhoff wants to go.
It's over here, lads. You can't run to me.
Pearce just pointing out to the Puma that you have to take it from where the offence was committed. Now, what does Sexton do here? Surely they have to go for the post.
Undoubtedly, they should go for the post, and I think
He's got to go on my mark, as we agreed.
And I think, to be honest, I think the Scarlets would have rather that they'd have let the tap, let Imhoff take that quick tap. They didn't look too disorganised at the time. You see here, Priestland it is on the wrong side, and then off your feet and over the top from McCusker. A real shame, given how hard they had to work for those 3 points, to give it up so easily just before the half. But look, this game is very much in the balance, isn't it?
Possible.
Sexton does his job, and Racing Metro go into the hutches with a 4-point lead instead of a 1-point lead. But for the Scarlets, they are still in contention. We've got a fascinating second half in prospect. Half-time though, Racing Metro leading 10 points to 6. Welcome back to the Stade Yves de Manoir. Before the game gets back underway, it's remiss of me not to wish my best wishes, and I'm sure you'll join with me in wishing best wishes to Scarlets winger Mike Poole, who we hear is recovering well back at home now after that serious neck injury sustained in the Llanelli game in Swansea just after Christmas. So Mike, if you're watching, we hope you begin your rehabilitation and have a speedy recovery. As for your team, well, the Scarlets did everything really that they needed to do in that first half, and I'm not sure how that's going to impact on this second half. Have to apologise for missing the fact that Phil John was a late withdrawal in the loose head berth, and Rob Evans, well, the greatest compliment is that I don't think the Scarlets have missed Phil John. Such was the work of that front row in coming back and showing their resilience in that first half.
Yeah, no question, the early signs didn't look great, did they? There were one or two scrums from Racing where they looked quite dominant, but after that they just stuck together. They worked tremendously hard, and arguably on the balance of the first half, you'd say the Scarlets just edged it at scrum time, which was led, I think, to a change in the front row for Racing with Tonga Weir on the pitch.
Certainly the Racing coach is looking to make some changes, make some alterations. They've got such power and presence really on their bench with Tonga Weir. Luc de Calcon, the French international tight head, also another option. There you see Suani Tonga Weir reunited really with Brian Majati, the former Saints props, both of whom played in that final back in 2011 against Leinster. Of course, the fly half for Leinster is now their teammate wearing 10. Phillips feeds out to the aforementioned Sexton, and a tester of who's going to take responsibility. It's going to be Juan Martin Hernandez. Scarlets unable to cope with the high ball. And here goes Phillips again, feeding on to Sexton. Trouble here for the Scarlets. The little kick through. The covering from Aled Thomas, but the alarm bells already ringing in that Scarlets defence.
Absolutely, and Phillips it was, wasn't it, with a lovely time pass there again to Sexton, and the two of those seem to be central to all the good attacks that Racing have had.
Juan Martin Hernandez back in the fullback role, which he's occupied a fair few times this season. He's had a few problems, injury problems once again, now 32 years of age. El Maggio, as he has been known, maybe not the force that he used to be, but still has that instinct. And there with the ball handling skills, manual dexterity to reclaim possession for his team.
Yeah, it was lovely, wasn't it, under the high ball there. But a great pass from Phillips there, just cutting out the man to Sexton. And
good work from Gareth Davis here, just making sure he got the hit into the tackle, as it were, to almost push Benjamin Fowle off balance for the kick.
Yeah, I think, to be honest though, better that Fowle take the tackle and keep the Scarlets under pressure rather than kicking it away and allowing them the opportunity to clear the lines as they have done.
And Fowle has fallen out of international recognition for a while. Now he's nowhere to be seen. Here's an opportunity for the Scarlets. Oh, the pick up from Fraser Climo, just not happening. And there was the door wide open for the Scarlets, but Fraser Climo just could not pick up the bouncing ball.
And it was just the equivalent of an open goal, wasn't it? What a beautiful kick that was as well. Perfectly weighted by Priestland. Did all the hard work, got in behind, and just had to scoop it up and dive over the line for a certain 5-pointer.
I think it's pretty reasonable at the moment. Any longer and I will.
Well,
line and left to the 5, please.
Climo scored a try in Scarlet's last win against Connacht.
Left of there.
But has that miss pushed Scarlet's cause off the track? They still have a chance to keep the pressure on Racing, but they know that they've got to take any opportunity on offer. And when the game breaks up like that,
Bind. Set.
The Scarlets 8 really seem to have sorted out their mindset. There is Rob Evans wearing one, and along with Samson Lee,
Just you sit down, please.
two 21-year-old props really learning about their trade the hard way, up against the experience of the likes of Suwani Tongawaia and Brian Majati.
Mind his angle, please. Just stay straight for me.
At the moment, on every occasion, it's that Racing front row that are popping up first as the pressure comes on. The referee just allowing the reset.
Crouch. Bind. Set.
This time it's not gone the Scarlets' way.
Number 3 on his arm to go.
It's Samson Lee pulling down his man, according to the referee. This has been, well, a fairly formidable fortress for teams this season.
Come on.
Racing Metro have seen off the likes of Brive, Oyonnax, Perpignan, Bordeaux-Bègles, Clermont, of course, in the Heineken Cup. In that first round, Stade Francais, although that game was at the Stade de France, Montpellier and Toulon. The Toulon game was supposed to be at the Stade de France, but after that Harlequins debacle, as they christened it in some of the local papers, that was moved back here by the president, Jackie Lorenzetti. It's only the likes of Grenoble that have been here and actually gone away with victory 22-20 back somewhat 3 months ago now. Barkley just getting a little isolated there, but not throwing the 50-50 pass. Fall coming through at pace, hardly breaking stride to pick that one up. Good tackle from Samson Lee. Cronier only knows one way forward, it's head down and straight into the contact. Mike Phillips with a little more subtlety to his game, but losing the pass, losing the ball. Priestland looking at the opportunity to mount a counter-attack from his own 22. Well, players not able to hold on to the ball and forcing their defence into stress mode.
Yeah, real ambition from both sides, wanting to play with the ball, just unable to execute.
Cheers, Ralph.
We saw there again, Sexton just looking for that space in behind the Scarlets wingers, who are still up flat in defence, and well, that's exactly how not to kick, isn't it, to Benjamin Fall. It's exactly what he wants. Nice clean ball to run onto.
Fall, who was part of the France setup for the last Six Nations, started against England, started against Wales and against Italy. Of course, didn't win any of those, although he did, I seem to remember, scored a try against the Azzurri. French side yet to be announced, or French squad I should say, yet to be announced by Philippe Saint-André. Good claim from Gareth Davis, and not allowing his side to falter inside their own half. Emile Phillips. Scott Williams. Didn't see an awful lot of him really after that first 10-15 minutes or so, but we know he has the class and the quality. Virgil Lacombe taking offence.
Yeah, that's the first time that Racing have been penalised, and they've been doing it the entire game. They're lying on the tackle player, they're on the wrong side, and I think the best lacked a bit of consistency there, and I think he's favoured Racing at breakdown time slightly unfairly, but this is a good opportunity, isn't it? Right in front of the sticks, you'd expect him to hit this.
But Scott Williams showing his physicality, and you talk about Regan King coming back next season from Clermont. If Jonathan Davis is still in tow and Scott Williams is still there, that is quite a midfield balance that Simon Easterby will have to work with next season.
Yeah, it is. It's nice, but you need strength in depth. You need more than just one good player in each position, and so yeah, and I suppose an embarrassment and riches in those positions. I've got to say, Gareth Davis has impressed me today. He's been ever present, hasn't he? And really is keeping the Scarlets guys moving forward. Little snipes around the corner, and a great take there, and another little run. He's been a threat. Yeah, he has. He's been arguably the best player for the Scarlets so far.
Priestland, 2 from 3 in the first half. And now 1 from 1 in the second, and just 1 point the difference between the teams again. And that courtesy of that thrust from Gareth Davis, and the travelling fans happy with their lot. Just some 9-10 minutes into the second half.
Balance, s'il vous plaît. Balance, s'il vous plaît. Sorry, pardon, ici.
Just suspect that the difference we've seen from Racing Metro this evening, which, as I say, is a very different outlook, particularly in attack, from the previous matches thus far, means that the confidence may be a little brittle,
Ball is out, play on.
and the more
Taken in.
damage that the Scarlets can do in the opening exchanges of this second half, the more profitable it could be in the 80 minutes of the game.
Yeah, look, this could be quite damaging for Racing. Like you say, they're going for it tonight. They're a very different Racing side, but just look at the ambition from the Scarlets at the moment, running out their own 22, and at the moment, well, the offloads are sticking and they're chasing everything, and
Harrying Racing Metro into mistakes, and that's pressure that could provide points later on. Good work from Christian Phillips. Sorry, Pat.
it's just a tremendous fighting spirit, isn't there, at the moment in this Scarlet side?
But here's the danger. Marc-André feeding under Sexton. Benjamin Fall waiting for it. Great interception from Alec Thomas. And the counter-attack is on. Reece Priestland gets outside Majati, weighs up the options. The cross kick is there. Can John Barkley pick it up? The ball's evading the Scotland flanker. Tries to keep it alive, but again, this left flank not providing dividends for the Scarlets in the second half.
Yeah, great vision though, wasn't it, from Priestland down that right-hand flank. Wonderful interception as well. Cameraman can't even keep up with play at the moment.
Here was the attack from Marc-André, and looked for all money like Racing were in with a chance to score, but good anticipation from Thomas. And then Priestland scanning the options, putting in the cross kick, hoping the bounce of the ball was going to set up for Barkley, but it scooted past him. And by then, with the pressure coming in from Imhoff, there was no chance to keep that attack on the go.
Really unlucky, great vision from Priestland. Couple of looks up, sees the space, sees Barkley out there, and the kick wasn't badly executed either. Just the bounce of the rugby ball, took it end over end and took it away from Barkley. Had it have sat up, it was a try. It would have been Scarlets in the lead. So, but they're in the right half of the pitch, aren't they, right now?
It's certainly working for them so far in this second half, but they've only got 3 points from it so far. Patience, though, will be the virtue this evening. Lacombe hits his captain Antoine Batout. The charge comes down on Phillips this time from Shingler. And again, Scarlets harrying Racing Metro into mistakes. This time Phillips is able to get the box kick away. Good strength from Clément. Quick work from Scarlets trying to make things happen, but Marc-André! Well, frustration very evident from the French international winger. And already this second half, Pat, teams trying to get so much pace on it and making the errors.
Yeah, I mean, really, really poor from this line out from Racing. No blockers in place, just far too easy for the Scarlets to come through for the charge down, and then, well, as if to return the gift, a quick throw, and Scarlets really looking to get away with that one.
15 days ago you might have understood it, but into the new year, as ambitious as both teams are, they have to look at the scoreboard and realise it is the slenderest of differences with just under half an hour to go in this game.
Yeah, and you just feel, don't you, it's going to be a mistake that costs either side the game here. And but the opportunities are everywhere at the moment, and this is a fantastic opportunity for Scarlets here. a scrum with a nice big blind side. Racing have got to split their defence, you know, and you can see Scarlets' backs lined out on the right-hand side.
Just see to the right of that picture, Fraser Climo just hanging behind the scrum as an option of the extra man off Priestland's shoulder should it be needed. Not needed right now, and again that Scarlets 8 is showing their mettle.
Yeah, what a turnaround, hey, and another opportunity for the first time to get Scarlets in front since the opening minutes of the game, and a wonderful scrum it was. There's never any doubt in their mind they were going to go for that, and great collective effort from the Scarlets 8 there. Tonga Weir trying to walk round, but the referee wise to it.
Well, Tonga Weir, known for his bullocking runs in the loose and the damage he could do, but his scrummaging has been exposed on occasions, certainly when he was at Northampton, and particularly before that when he was at Bedford. And young Samson Lee has done a job on the Tongan thus far. Can Rhys Priestland maintain his range and his kicking form? 4 from 6 last week against the Ospreys. On its way, and it's 4 from 5 this week for Rhys Priestland, and 46 minutes after letting the lead go, Scarlets are back in front.
Cracking kick from Priestland, a good deal of pressure on that kick, and we'll have another look at this little break down the left hand side, and Sexton, well, what a cracking read that was from Alan Thomas just to turn things around, and it was from that interception that Scarlets got the field position to ultimately get those 3 points.
Take it in! Take it in!
Climo slams it away with his left foot, but Sexton weighing up the options, and that's what we've seen from Racing Metro this season in terms of high kicks, and the pressure from the chase has worked from Benjamin Fowle, and the Scarlets defence is under duress again. Lacombe.
Advantage, Dominique.
Antoine Batut, as I mentioned, going to be playing in Montpellier's colours next season. Leading the way for Racing Metro into the opposition 22.
There was only a knock on.
And Shingler it was, wasn't it, there, who held that Racing drive up, didn't allow it to go to ground. Moore was formed when it collapsed. Turnover to the Scarlets, big play from the young number 6.
The knock on was over here. You've been back and forth. Advantage over.
Referee Luke Pearce explaining that the advantage that he presented to the home side was done territorially.
Inside. Scrum is inside.
Scarlets' only win in their last 11 Heineken Cup matches was that game against Quins. What a huge fillip it would be if they can hold on for the next 23.5 minutes to some sort of lead.
Yeah, look, they're a pretty young and developing side, and to go on the road on this big stage against a very good side and to get a win has a big impact on these young men.
Oh, that scrum just not helping Gareth Davis, and the youngster doing very well. If he's managed to present the ball, I'm not sure it's going to come out Racing side. Sexton trying to glide through the gap. Lacombe is the feed. Phillips with the piston handoff. But he's held on, says the referee. Ooh, that was threatening for the Scarlets defence, to say the least. Turnover ball providing the best opportunity for attack, we know that. And suddenly the defensive line was not as straight as it has been.
No, but they scrambled well, didn't they, and managed to just cut it off and picked up a penalty, the opportunity to clear the lines.
No,
Phillips looked very dangerous down that left-hand side there, didn't he? In a bit of space. There's an injury to the Scarlets here.
Not sure that Sexton was too well prepared for it, but
Sexton with the show and go, and then at this point here, Phillips, great handoff. He just managed to drag him down and snuff it out, and you can see what they're saying. The tackle was held, and Phillips got up and tried to play on again, and I suppose by the letter of the law, referee absolutely right.
And you see that replay, his namesake Christian doing a really good job on just derailing Phillips. Quite a disparity in physical stature there.
There was, but he did enough, didn't he? And
it's fine, it's sorted.
They'll be pleased to clear their lines here, won't they? A dangerous moment that for the Scarlets.
No.
Marc-Andre, another man desperately trying to get back into Philippe Saint-André's good books and add to his 7 caps. Last time he stepped out for Les Bleus was on that summer tour to New Zealand. The former cast winger who followed the coaches Travers and Lebitte. Now just looking to see that change for the Scarlets. Henry Chavancy, the local boy who's done so much for the identity of Racing, and it has needed to be done, believe me, with the different faces that have appeared for Les Bleus over recent years.
And you can hear the small travelling Scarlets contingent getting behind their team right now. It's exactly what these guys need. There's 20 minutes left or there or thereabouts. Can they hold on?
Good take from Schindler, secure in the middle of that line out. You can see the replacement, Gareth Moore. I think it's Nick Reynolds who's had to go off with that shoulder problem. Foul. And brought to ground by the skipper, Rob McCusker. Just mentioning that midfield, Jonathan Davis hopefully going to be returning from that pec injury sometime in the middle of March. Probably not in time to get himself back in the Six Nations, but I'm sure the Scarlets will be delighted to see their co-captain back in the ranks.
Wait. No. Okay, just hang on 2 seconds. Number 4, entry to the tackle. Here, Foxy.
The referee saying there, number 4, side entry.
Number 4.
A real shame. Very kickable position. Now in the first half they were kicking these to touch and trying to drive over and get the 5 points. I suspect that may well have changed given the current state of play.
Jake Ball, the solid, reliable second row, come over from the Western Force this season. Just missed the one game against the Dragons in the LV Cup. So constant and consistent. Now, change of kickers. Juan Martin Hernandez is lining this one up. Sexton looked like he took a bad knock in that last phase of play when the double tackle came in on him. There will be cause for concern for Racing fans and of course for Ireland fans as well, and for Scarlets fans if Juan Martin Hernandez can find his target immediately. No problems for the experienced Puma playmaker, and as the hour ticks through on the match clock, the home side are back in front just.
Well, it tees up the last 20 minutes perfectly, doesn't it? A 1 point game with 20 minutes to play.
There's Benjamin Dombiel on to replace Sexton. Dombiel himself, who has struggled through injuries did his ACL beginning of last season, came back this season but had rib problems and a concussion problem. What a great restart that was.
Absolute cracker, wasn't it? Saw the space, didn't hang around, and drilled the drop kick low into Coffin Corner as it was.
You're in front of the mark.
Great quick thinking that was by Priestland.
The response is going to be critical now.
No.
The swing in confidence and belief has carried on throughout the majority of this 61 minutes. Who is going to be able to swing the match this way? Good call from Christian Phillips. What a burst from the winger. Christian Phillips driving for glory. And there is the first Scarlets try, and there is the response that all Scarlets fans wanted to see.
Is it for the potential obstruction, Robin?
There's an obstruction call from the referee. Luke Pearce is going to check this with Jeff Warren.
Potential obstruction, just go with. Time is off.
What a cruel blow this would be. Fantastic counter-attack that was by Christian Phillips.
Okay, can you
Caught the
check
ball,
if there was
stepped instantly and
obstruction when
went
the guy
for
was
it.
running through? I didn't get the two numbers of the players here.
Well,
Hang on, Rob.
Christian Phillips really burst onto
Yes,
the rugby
please.
radar with his performance in the first Help for Heroes game at Twickenham. But look at this. Was that just on the corner of that? Antoine Batut or Karen Ghazal, I think, pulled back by Samson Lee.
That's
Let's
what
have
it
a
looks
look
like.
here.
A little tug was it from Lee? How material
There.
was it? Oh, I mean, the thing is, it's not material. The guy's not within 2 or 3 metres. Now he tugged him. He did. Is it material or not? Will they call it?
Did he stop the tackle from coming in? That's the call, I guess.
I don't think so. I mean, you look. I mean, the guy's travelling. He's flat
Look at the
out
top
here.
left of the frame. Samson Lee.
Little tug, but he's not going to get there. He isn't going to get there. I don't think it's material, and I think the try ought to be awarded. But will that little tug be costly for the Scarlets? Let's have another look at it there. I just can't see that man making the tackle.
Not at the speed that Christian Phillips had picked up by then.
Yeah, not a chance. And
What a great run it was. A slaloming run from the former Ospreys winger. And surely that is going to put the Scarlets back in front. Well, we're still waiting for the call. You can see it
He's looking.
fairly evident, but it didn't make any difference, or did it? We're going to hear the call
Jeff,
now.
Can you has he actually grabbed the shirt of the player or not?
look, he did grab the shirt of the player, but that's not the point. The point is, would that player have made that tackle? And,
Okay.
there's just no way he would have
So
done.
try scored, yep. Thank you.
Celebrations for the Scarlets. Christian Phillips has put them back in front with a very special try.
Brave decision that from the referee and the fourth official, but in my mind, absolutely the right one. Fantastic try from Christian Phillips, and to be honest, it's nothing more than this battling Scarlets outfit deserve. Now they need this extra 2, and then they need to hold on.
Rhys Priestland seemed to wait an age to step up to that, but he had the confidence and the skill to put it over. Look at that burst from Christian Phillips, suddenly putting his foot on the accelerator and having the balance and poise to evade the Racing Metro tacklers. And what a special try that could be in the Scarlets season.
Yeah, look, there's so many positives tonight, regardless of result. For the Scarlets, they've come here, they've equipped themselves brilliantly, and I guess the hope for them now is that they can convert this into a win, and what a big win it would be.
Certainly trips to France have not been that productive in recent seasons. Just 3 wins out of 13 trips. The last one was against Castres back in January 2012, 2 years ago at the Stade Pierre-Antoine. Then it was 16-13, now it's 19-13, and there's 17 minutes for the Scarlets to hold on to some sort of advantage on that scoreboard.
And that's exactly what the Scarlets wanted off that restart, wasn't it?
Well, it looked like Priestland didn't go for the touch, and forcing the kick to come back, takes the return ball, calls for obstruction. You can see the French side starting to get a little rattled now.
Time is off. Time is off.
Yeah, more than a little rattle. There's real frustration, isn't there, in the Racing side?
Him a second. Hang on. Lads, just give me some space a second.
This game's just in danger of boiling over, isn't it?
Go ahead, Ra.
11 white have been chasing the kick.
Yeah.
Player going to catch the ball. 14 red has run deliberately.
Just obstruction.
Exactly.
Obstruction
okay.
from Phillips on his opposite winger.
Penalty. Obstruction.
You see the likes of Jean-André Crier already coming off the bench now. Marois also on for Virgil Lacombe,
Sorry, 10, was it? Touch.
as Laurent Lebitte and Laurent Travers try and make some changes, make a difference in this game. There's the obstruction from Phillips. Some referees would just call it lazy running, but you could see, look, he saw him there, knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah, daft and obvious. I mean, look, they all do it, and it's part and parcel of the game to some extent, but you have to be more subtle than that about it.
But the line-out doesn't work for Racing, and immediately the clearance is there, but again, touch isn't found. Andreu coming off his wing, and fortunately for the Scarlets, not having the footballing skills to make the advance.
The Scarlets line-out's been a huge positive for them tonight. They've won every ball of their own and put real pressure on the Racing's line-out, and that's a dreadful mistake there by Racing, and just takes the pressure right back off Scarlets again. It's exactly what they want, you know. 15 on the clock, in the lead, and they've got the ball on the halfway line.
I mentioned that Benjamin Dombiel was on, but it's not for Johnny Sexton, it's actually for Benjamin Fowl. The fullback has gone off. Sexton still holding the fly half roll. Can he impact on this game further still as the Scarlets drive their way up over the Racing Metro 10-metre line? Not looking at man of the matches or anything, but that Scarlets pack really have responded in great manner. Reece Priestland not happy with that kick though. Hernandez having no problems in reclaiming possession for Racing Metro and consequently losing it in the tackle.
It was a tackle, not a maul. You've got to release him first.
Referee saying it was a tackle, not a maul. As a result, when it goes to ground, you've got to release him before you can attack the ball on the floor.
And I guess if anybody should know it, it should be that man wearing 22. It's interesting looking around this stadium that has hosted Olympic Games and World Cup games, internationals, football and rugby, but doesn't have the identity that Racing Metro are so keen to establish. And when they look round the periphery, seeing the new Stade Jean-Bouin that Stade Francais now play in front of, it's further accelerated their desire to get this new stadium at La Défense, only a couple of blocks south of this venue. It's going to be ready by the end of next year, I'm told. 40,000 seater, covered with a plastic pitch, the same as Allianz Park, and a chance for Racing Metro to really have a home that is their own. Johnny Sexton setting up the chance for them to get an attacking drive going from this line out once again.
2 metres, please.
Yeah, and this is crucial, isn't it? 5 metres out from your own line. If you're going to win this game, you feel they've got to keep them out now.
Jean-André Crier providing the possession.
Advantage.
Schingler finding himself on the wrong side as the maul fractures. Cronier drives up, back up to the 5 metre line again. Sexton, little cross kick. Scarlets got called out like this last week. Oh, has it worked again for the opposition? Scarlets were caught defending narrow on the left
Thank
channel
you, Jeff.
last week that allowed
just check, try
the
yes or no
Ospreys
here,
to
please?
score.
No, penalty.
Penalty is there for Racing Metro, says the referee.
It's not a try,
Here's
it's
the
back to
cross
penalty
kick.
for side entry to the maul. No.
Thomas unable to take cleanly. Oh, it's touchdown there, surely.
As well as I do, advantage is not over.
Surely Fraser Klimo has ended that passage of play. Imhoff trying to make the most of the loose ball.
Lads.
Normally tell by the players' reactions, they don't look.
No.
I don't think the Racing guys feel like they've scored this. Does he get downward pressure on it? That's enough for me. So that's decisive now. Back for the penalty for Racing. And I think I heard the referee ask, can you get me the name of the man with the scrum cap? So perhaps danger of a yellow card here for Scarlets, just to make the closing minutes of this game even tenser.
Captain, if it's no try, they can't go quickly, okay?
They don't like to make things easy for themselves, the Scarlets, and as I mentioned, the last 3 games have gone to within 6
Jeff.
points. Let's have a listen to the call
Okay, so
from the officials.
So no try, back to the penalty.
And the try is not
No
going to be
try.
given, as
It was
expected.
grounded. Back to the penalty.
17-12 last week against the Ospreys, 6-10 the weekend before, and
Okay,
16-10
side
on their
entry
trip
the maul,
to
after the line out. I'll
Munster.
look at the formation.
It's going to be close. It's going to go to the wire.
Side entry.
And Sexton going for that line out again.
Formation, okay? Legal formation, please. Yes, please. Wait.
Well, you really is getting tense now, isn't it? Can't imagine it'll be anything other than a drive from the Racing pack.
Tungawea with his mitts on the ball. Again, the maul trying to be disrupted. Majati brought to ground.
Ball available.
Phillips feeds on to the next phalanx of forwards, heading for glory.
No.
Marouard driven back from whence he came. Good defensive work from the Scarlets, but they've got to hold their discipline. Again, Phillips feeds out. This time Sexton trying to get his winger in. Andrew. And the call has gone to the Scarlets. Well, defensive work paying off for the visitors.
Brilliant defensive work, wasn't it? They dismantled the front of that drive at line-out time, got it on the deck nicely, and then after that, they were in great low driving positions at guard and 2. They knocked Racing back, and then Sexton was at the line, ran a block play. The Scarlets defence came up hard on the outside, forced him back into his own man, and a great piece of defence there. And you can see they play that block play there, but look, there he is, up, closing those outside channels off, forced him back into his own man, and that is just a real triumph for the Scarlets defence. Quite brilliant there.
That's what we were talking earlier, Pat, about the instinct of attacking play that we haven't seen from Racing Metro through this season, and there is another example of it as Fabrice Estebanez
Time off, Danielle,
comes
please.
on.
Just changes, lads.
Not the man we were expecting to see tonight,
Who? Set. Okay, number 7, Scarlets.
but a different opportunity
7.
for Racing Metro. More experience coming onto the park.
Yeah, we're going back to that. I mean, to some extent you're absolutely right, but I mean, listen, Sexton's an experienced man. He runs the block play. They're just not quite deep enough on it, and the Scarlets defence read it beautifully. He stepped out the line, hit him pretty much man and ball, and drove him back into his own man. And another great line out.
Not panning out there as Josh Turnbull is looking to make an impact off the bench.
They're not making it easy for themselves, though, are they? They've been in their own half now for a good 10 minutes, but they're holding out brilliantly, and forward pass there, very, very marginal, but only has to be an inch. I mean, this midfield scrums are the hardest scrums to defend because you have to split your defence left and right, and this will be interesting now.
Two-sided attack options for Racing Metro.
Set. No.
first things first, I guess. Let's get the scrum right from the Scarlets' perspective. But it's so crucial that you control which side of the scrum goes up here, because then you can control which way that the Racing are going to attack.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, step, quick.
Well, we talked about the test that it was going to be for the likes of Samson Lee and Rob Evans. And here is another exam for the two young props.
Okay.
Hernandez been there, seen it, done it, got most of the t-shirts. Now he has to show his class and quality. Free kick for the feed. Unforced error.
Feeding.
Well, what a big plus that is for the Scarlets pack. Mike Phillips cannot believe it as the ball is just humped downtown. No thought of going for the touchline.
He was inside.
And Scarlets just back in their fitness, aren't they? They don't mind the ball being in play. They still look sprightly. They just look like they've got a bit more energy and a bit more zip about them than the Racing side at the moment.
Dombiel picking up the ball inside, and yes, you can see quite clearly there that his supporting foot was inside the 22. Girondeau coming into the back row. There he is, the former Béziers captain. And now all the dice is being rolled from the bench. Luc de Cauconon, Maxime Machinot, the French national scrum half, on for Phillips, trying to make a difference in this last 7 minutes.
Hey, wait for me, please.
De Caucon, another former cashed player in Racing Metro colours.
The time is still off. Receiver, stay 2 meters, please. Time on, Daniel.
Well, this match may theoretically have had not much on it in terms of the Heineken Cup for this season, but it's a fascinating contest now.
Yeah, and the longer it wears on, the more there is on this game from the Scarlets' perspective. Another good win at the line out again. It's just been so stable for them, hasn't it? It's allowed them to get back into the game from a field position perspective, and a great chase on that kick there.
Great kick from Priestland as well. Dombiel having to field it outside the 22. He couldn't clear it. He was then forced into possession, and now the turnover is there for the Scarlets. Gareth Davis setting up position. Shingler right in the middle of the pitch, but again the execution at the breakdown not working. Have they got a bounce of the ball there? Yes, they have. They're going to get scrum put in there as Jean-Dre Crier couldn't take it cleanly.
Hang on 2 seconds. Time's off, Daniel.
Now,
Jeff, go ahead, please.
Something that Jeff Warren,
Captain,
I think, has
if
spotted.
it's foul play, the TMO's come in, okay?
A foul play call from Jeff Warren in the truck is just going to stop the play for the moment.
The TMO has just come in for potential foul play, okay? So time is off. Okay, Jeff, go
Let's
ahead,
have a
please.
look at what we think Jeff Warren has spotted through those last phases of play. Bread of Heaven has never sounded so sweet over the Parisian suburbs as it does this evening.
No problem. No worries, let's have a look at the screen.
6 minutes to go, 6 points the difference. Here's what they're looking at in that left-hand corner. Well, it was Cronier on Jake Ball, and innocuous at best, I would suggest.
And a little swing from Ducalcon there as well. There's bits going on here, there and everywhere, but none of it looked too serious. Handbags, nothing more. Let's have a look from a different angle.
Phillips and Andrew just having a cuddle, nothing more than that. Andrew going in on Aled Thomas, just below the kidneys. What will the officials make of that, I wonder? And don't forget, a penalty now for the Scarlets, for the first time, would take them over 1 score difference.
Yeah, but this is something and nothing, isn't it? I think they've just driven in with his shoulder. Let's just get on with the game into the last 6 minutes. Fantastic chase, wasn't it, by the Scarlets boys, and I think that's really representative of their effort tonight. You can talk about the breaks, you can talk about the great passes, but ultimately If Scarlets win this game, it's been effort, it's been endeavour.
It's been teamwork.
Absolutely right.
Just waiting for him to come back to me, okay?
And that's what we highlighted at the beginning of this match. The difference in psychologies, in makeups of these two teams.
Hey.
Is it going to come to bear through the course of this game? Andrea with no thought of clearing out there, and that's seems to be the main focus of attention, but it doesn't seem to be.
And I've seen enough. I mean, it's a contact sport. We should just get on with this now. He's driven him back over his own ruck. I think, you know,
Okay, Jeff, from what
you
I'm
expect to
seeing
get
on
hit
the
if you
screen,
stood there.
I can't see anything clear and obvious of a takeout.
Clear and obvious is the request, and I think rightly Luke Pearce is just going to allow play to recommence with that scrum put into the Scarlets.
Okay, please put the clip back up then.
Jeff Warren wants him to have a look at something else, and this is where referees are taking the responsibility by looking at the screens and making the call, but it does hold the game up.
Well, I've got absolutely no idea why they weren't happy.
I can only assume
Jeff,
it is that Andrea
I'm happy that
charge.
I'm happy he's still part of the ruck. I'm going to play the scrum, okay?
Right.
Time
Common
on, back to the
sense
knock on.
prevails, and Luke Pearce is going to go back for that scrum put in.
Not too soon either.
We just had to wait a little while to get there, that's all.
Thank you.
Now, big scrum for Scarlets.
Come on, I'm dominant again, Red. Dominant.
Absolutely huge, yeah. 6 minutes to go. And you can see they've loaded everyone right. They brought
Just wait for me, okay?
the winger in behind the scrum. As an inside threat, no doubt, off Priestland.
Set.
All hinges on this scrum, which Racing really do have the upper hand on there.
They look to that blind side with Fraser Climo, no way through there. Priestland has to go for the kick in the end, but it's a well-weighted kick. Andrea under pressure, feeding Dombiel. Dombiel trying to run his way out. Replacement fullback does a good job, sets up a focus for his team. Machino feeds Estebanez coming onto the bench at the 23rd hour. Experienced French international, of course, both in Union and League, Fabrice Estebanez. Girondeau, dynamic number 8, but the door being closed very quickly. The offload's now not working. That looked to have gone forward, but the officials let it carry on. Won him off. Such a danger in the first 20-25 minutes for Racing Metro.
All right, Foxy.
Quick take from Machino. Chavancy offers. Up to the 10-metre line go Racing Metro. Well, the forwards come looking for it. In fact, it was Estebanez on the angle.
Nah, he was.
Well, they're throwing the kitchen sink at it, aren't they now, Racing?
Hang on.
Scarlets just hanging in there.
Yeah. Time off, Daniel. We got a number of people down.
Hamish Chavancy's had a great game, hasn't he?
Merci,
In
Daniel.
that centre for Racing Metro, he's carried, as you say, all day for them.
Rhys Priestland gets another accolade. The big question, I guess, for Scarlets fans right now is, will he be wearing Scarlets colours next season? Lots of rumours linking him to move across the bridge, to rejoin Nigel Davis at Kingsholm in Gloucester's colours, or go and join Dai Young in Wasps colours. But the Scarlets fans hoping that their linchpin is going to stay loyal to the cause. Fabrice Metz slowly getting back to his feet.
Okay. Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely
Time's
crucial,
off,
isn't it,
lads.
for
No
the
rush.
future of Scarlets that they keep Priestland wearing that red shirt. But that will not be their concern right now. Their concern will be winning this game and what that means to this group of players.
4 minutes to go.
No. Hey.
There's just signs at the moment that Racing are getting back on top at scrum time.
Thank you.
Team have got their act together there, and it's probably just a result, I guess, of the huge effort that the Scarlets front row have put in.
Okay, it's red scrum, okay. Rouge mêlée.
It's interesting that that's just the third substitution that Simon Easterby has made off the bench. Audrey Williams coming on at scrum half. Just one forward has been changed. John Barclay being replaced by Josh Turnbull.
Gareth Davis going off. What a fantastic game he's had. Been like a terror the entire game.
Crouch.
But you're right, it just looked like they just need some fresh legs on, particularly in that Scarlets front five.
Well, the put in just about working for the visitors. Lots of new ingredients, of course, in that Racing Metro 8.
Of course.
Yeah, and I think, you know, is it a lack of confidence in the guys on the bench? I don't know, but right now, I think it's time to just to churn some of that front five, get someone on there with a spring in their step.
Fox, to your side, please.
We want this nice and steady and stable. Just get it in Priestland's hands, get it back down in the Racing half.
It's a big ask of that tight five. Look at them, they have put their all in. What a shift they have put in this evening in the Scarlets' cause.
Crouch.
Can they maintain it for another 2.5 minutes?
Bind. Set.
The travelling support doing their utmost to add what they can from the stands. Oh, the penalty goes to the visitors. And again, you look at that front row of Rob Evans, Emma Phillips and Samson Lee. What a job they have done. They've been under the cosh at times, but they've come back with everything and a little bit more.
Yeah, listen, I mean, they might have awarded man of the match to Priestland, but if they go on to win this game, it's been the Scarlets' tight five that have won it for them without any doubt. A quite magnificent display from all five of them, both scrimmaging and line out. They've created the platform which, to be perfectly honest, I doubted whether they'd be able to do against just a huge Racing pack. And you can see them trudging up in unison for this line out.
Line out throw for Emma Phillips. Hit the target, hold on to the ball, wait for 75 seconds and the whistle to blow.
No.
Phillips going to ground to set up the ruck. The forwards coming around the corner slowly. But as ever, willing to do the dog, willing to do the hard yards.
Yeah, look, let's be honest, 3 points wins this game. They want it central. They want Priestland back in the pocket. And that's the game. It's a great position from here.
Ball is there once again. Shingler held up by Kriya, the Springbok international.
No, it's fine. He's going.
Is Priestland going to go back in the pocket? 30 seconds left for glory for the Scarlets. They started this European campaign with such a bang at the Stoop. It may not mean there is an awful lot of chance of staying in the Heineken Cup beyond these group stages, though who knows. Harlequins' match against Clermont may well decide that tomorrow at the Stoop. Don't forget, you can watch it live here on Sky Sports 2. Kick-off 13:35. The ball goes to the stands. The players look to the referee and the whistle goes. And the Scarlets have got their first win in 7 games. Their first win over a top 14 side in 2 years. What a performance from Simon Easterby's side. How much difference is that going to make to their season? We shall wait and see. For now, they will celebrate in Paris with a scoreline that reads Racing Metro 13, the Scarlets 19.